Oh, hey, what's up to our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the CultPop and The Heron podcast, episode 55, a show where we talk about movies, TV, comics, by generations, and all the other things that scratch your nerdy little itches. We're coming to you live from the Young Junk HQ.
Young Junk.
A bomb-ass podcasting production space in Philadelphia, PA. You did it. That was such a good...
I did it.
That was great. I was sighing with relief at how good that song, that little thing
song?
you did.
It was
Yeah.
a song. It's a spoken word
Yeah.
song.
Young Junk.
There it
Yeah.
is. I'm your cannibalistic parakeet host, Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street. It's a comic shop. You should come to it, because I'll cater to you and all of your friends. You'll
cater to them.
I'll cater to them.
That's nice.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I will present canapes.
Do you have a silver tray?
Yeah.
Little gloves?
It's spray painted silver,
It's fine.
but I do have little gloves.
Yeah. How little are they?
They're very one per finger.
Oh, wow.
With me tonight to talk is Noel
Yeah.
and Brian.
Hi.
Hi. Also in the booth is our trusty producer, Dylan. Remember, if anything goes wrong or goes extremely right, Dylan did it.
Right. Dylan is in charge of our extremes,
Yes.
as we mentioned last
Yeah,
week.
We are
anything-
mid all the way.
anything
Anything
that's
above
just-
and below.
Anything that's just whelmed,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Oh, I love that.
not
Yeah.
Dill.
Please feel free to comment, like, subscribe, and get into the chat like these gentle folk. Pachinison says, you guys need some color. And we're trying to figure out if it's because our thumbnail for this episode, we're all very pasty, or if you mean we're all white boys. Or both.
Both.
Yeah. Also, we love a little back and forth, so email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. Robert Monroe is in the chat saying, hey, Cult Poppers, I won't be watching you live tonight because I'm at the cinema watching Godzilla -1 with my kids. I will catch the show later. Oh, you had us in the first half there, I'll be honest.
Oh, you thought he was coming at you?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm not going to watch you guys. You guys are
Yeah.
woke now.
That typical Robert Monroe Jr.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very
it's
condescending towards you
always-
personally.
always
Complaining
Yeah.
about the cancel
Yeah.
pigs.
Yeah. Robert, I hope you enjoy Godzilla
Yes.
-1 because, holy cats, we talked about it last week, and
Time is a flat circle.
we loved it.
It's still available in the feed, so somebody could watch it
Yeah,
now.
that's true. Go watch it
Whoa.
now. Yeah.
That's right. Everything is all the time on the internet. You should know that. There's no
That's it.
before or after. There's
Fascinating.
just always.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, I would
Hey.
like to seamlessly segue us into our next topic
Too
or
late.
segment, which is called "What You Been Up to This Week, Huh?"
Huh.
Do you have
Yeah.
an answer to that question?
Oh. Whoa.
That was
There was no
a
seam.
segue.
Wow.
Seamless. You didn't even know it was there.
I thought there was going to be a seam earlier, and then it just
Yep.
right
Gone.
in. So here we go. I was watching Sex Education, the TV show.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure if it's a British show or not. They're largely British people.
Is it-
Is produced in Britain for
Is that right?
Netflix, Yeah.
And
is it just a phys ed guy?
Yep.
yeah, it's from the 70s.
Just like
and it's a phys ed guy.
sighing and
And yeah, he just sighs, and he kind of looks uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and he starts saying things. He just trails
just
off. He
trails
shuts
off,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just backwards hats.
Yeah. It's 4 seasons.
Yeah. 4 seasons of sitting backwards in a chair,
Yeah. Well, he's cool.
telling kids
You know?
about things.
Yeah.
growers and not showers and the like.
He talks about it.
Yeah.
at
So
length.
Sex Education on Netflix, 4 seasons, starring from the not
Gillian
X-Files.
Anderson, Asa
Gillian Anderson,
Butterfield,
who is not British.
Emma Mackey, and
Asa
Shudi-
Butterfield, did you say
Shudigawa.
that?
Yeah, I did.
And Shudigawa.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
where I know that guy from.
Yeah, and he and the woman who plays one of the leads, Maeve, were both in the Barbie movie.
Oh.
Yeah,
Cool.
she was one of the Barbies.
Nice.
And anyway, so I was
all
interested in
Barbies.
this show. Yeah, I was interested in this show, and as I alluded to earlier, Gillian Anderson does a. She seems British enough that I was like, is she actually British?
Yeah,
and she's
yeah.
been doing an American accent this whole time, but no.
Mhm.
It was a lot of fun. I was interested because Shudigawa was in it, and he's the 15th Doctor. So I was like, all right. And Tamara said we should watch this. I was like, all right. Because normally I shut down anything she says with,
extreme
just
prejudice.
Extreme. But
You wanna
this
watch
time-
this?
Sometimes before
Yeah.
she even
I'm breaking the
finishes,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like really extreme.
Which then I don't get to watch anything either. But
Yeah.
As long as she learned her lesson.
Right.
doesn't.
Oh, God
she keeps
damn.
suggesting
Keeps
different
asking,
shows.
she's asking
We keep
to
watching them.
enjoy.
I'm so
like,
uncomfortable.
No, we keep watching the shows,
Yeah.
and we're watching Queen's Gambit now. But anyway, we
Oh,
watched Sex
ooh.
That's pretty
Education.
Yeah.
Yeah,
4 seasons of it. You
she's
finished the
gambiting.
whole thing?
We did. We started. This wasn't only this week, huh?
Oh,
So we finished it this week.
Okay.
But we started a little while ago, and Shooty Gotch was amazing.
Yeah.
And he's so much fun. Probably my favorite character, although there's some strong competition. Otis, the main character, is great. His interaction with Maeve is great. Maeve is also awesome. And they introduce all of these. It starts out with basically the three of them and Gillian Anderson, Otis's mom, who's a sex therapist.
Yeah.
And so Otis is very good at that, but also kind of uncomfortable in certain ways.
He's a high schooler, right?
He's a high schooler.
And he starts giving information
like
or
sex therapy.
to the
Yeah.
kids in the
Mhm.
bathroom of the high school.
Yeah,
or
the
something, right?
unused, the old place where they go
Yeah.
and hang out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So so he starts doing that, and that's the setup, the shtick for the beginning of it, and it evolves from that. But it's very interesting how they start out with like those are the four main characters really in the beginning, and they have these other side characters that they have relationships like, glancing relationships in some cases. They're just sort of kind of unpopular kids at school. They're definitely not the cool kids, but they're not like picked on or anything. And then they develop these characters more over the course of the show. They
As one does.
as one does.
One hopes, yeah.
But they bring in a lot of other, right? It's not like the cast of characters starts out as all focuses.
Sure.
And they do it in a deft way.
Is it funny?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
it's a comedy,
It's
like
funny.
a dramedy?
Yeah, there's drama and comedy.
Cool.
But it leans toward the lighthearted for sure.
Okay.
It's very sex positive, which is awesome,
Nice.
and they continue to expand that throughout the show. It's just like it's a very pleasant show to watch. It's very fun.
Nice.
I really enjoyed
Half
it.
hours or hours episodes?
They are ish.
Okay.
One of those two, I forget.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's closer to an hour.
Now, no, you seem to have a lot of knowledge of who's involved with the show. Is
No.
that because you're watching it?
No, never seen it.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
I just
Thought you were teasing.
look at things and pay attention
You just-
and
Yeah.
become
I
aware.
don't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
Shooty Gotch was so much fun in it. He's
Yeah.
just like this, just lovely character to watch. He's great.
Well, we'll get to him in a bit.
Yeah.
Sam C's in there saying, I love Gillian Anderson. Gillian? Jillian.
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 From the interweb.
Jillian, but
I think she's about
Gillian or
Jacobs.
that's Gillian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she decided on that later on, right? Like she was like, I'm going to go by Gillian.
Ah.
I think, but she's the only Gillian that I am
Yeah.
familiar with. Yeah, but
Right
I
on.
wondered that about this
Yeah,
one too.
I had seen the first episode of the show, and to be fair, I
Mhm.
was really just there for Gillian Anderson,
Okay.
who played a very sexy character.
She
I
does.
thought.
She does.
And I just someone dangled keys, and I got distracted. I never went back to it.
Mhm.
But every time it comes up, which admittedly is not that often,
Right.
I'm
That
like, oh,
one
I
time.
should go back and
Yeah.
I should go back and check that out.
Yeah,
So, you recommend it?
I
clearly.
recommend it.
All right. Hey, Noel, what have you been up to this week, huh?
Well, what I've been up to this week is wanting to ask you what you've been up to this week.
Oh. So-
I have something to say, but go ahead.
okay,
Let's do
so
yours
I've
first.
been up to, speaking of Shooty Gotchwa,
Yeah.
I've been watching Doctor Who.
Oh.
So these mother lovers have been trying to get me to watch Doctor Who for a while. And by trying, I mean, they're like, hey, it's good.
Bring it up.
They're not like
Yeah.
twisting my arm or anything.
Passively bring it up on
I'm like,
occasion, and
yeah,
you're
I
like,
think
oh,
you might
what's
like
that?
it.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
it.
Yeah.
well, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. I say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I'm really happy that you watched it.
It's now,
and you
it
liked
might
it.
be my thing.
You might be.
So this month it is the 60th
60th anniversary.
60th anniversary, and they dropped 3 specials which lead directly. It's like one long movie, but they have released them once a week maybe.
Mhm.
So I decided to just kind of jump in
Mm.
to see what all the hubbub was about, and the hub was bubbin'. I really liked it. I found it to be very charming. I really like the actor who plays the Doctor,
David Tennant.
David Tennant.
Oh.
I know him from Jessica Jones, and I
Yeah,
think he's
yeah.
great in that, and a myriad other projects that I can. The detective show,
Inside.
Broadchurch.
Broadchurch.
Inside
Man,
Broadchurch.
love that show. Anyway, it is silly pants
Mm-hmm.
and delightful.
Mm-hmm.
I had such a blast, and then the 3rd episode,
Now, wait a
Was
second, I'm
even-
really
was
curious
the
about
best.
Your second. Oh,
the second
yeah.
episode.
Yeah, because I really thought you would enjoy that, And it seems that you did.
I did enjoy
Yeah.
it.
We primed him for it a little bit though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, it's gonna be weird.
It's gonna be weird. Just
Yeah,
go
yeah.
with it. It's weird.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the sort of an adventure out on the edge of the universe.
Yeah.
And the way that unlocks
Yeah.
episode 3,
Yes.
I thought was so cool.
That was cool. And
Yeah,
you liked
man.
episode 3?
Here
we go.
I am hard pressed to not be charmed by
Neil Patrick Harris.
Doogie Howser, MD.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
just whenever he's on screen, I find him to be very charming and watchable.
Yes.
I just
Very
love him,
much
and
so.
I think him. As soon as you're introduced to him, I was like, oh, I love this guy already.
Yes.
With the fake German
Such a
accent.
charm that slips a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But also a bit of malice to him.
Mhm.
I think he really knocked it out of the park. I have never seen the original version of that character.
Well-
most people that are alive today haven't.
Yeah. It's
It's a lost
unavailable.
episode.
There's like, they used
Oh.
to be serial episodes. There's like 3 to 6 or whatever episodes in a story. Episode 4 is available, but that's it.
No kidding.
But they are releasing an animated version of it at some
think
point.
something
'Cause I think
like-
they have the audio.
Only the audio.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, right? They've done it a few times.
So yeah, I've always been intrigued by the trappings of Doctor Who as a
Mhm.
character and the way that they have baked into the character a way to just keep it going past
Brilliant.
different
Yeah.
actors.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, he's just going to be a different actor now, and that's part of the story, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
And he'll act a little bit differently
Yeah.
because that's part of how it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got to the end of this, which we won't spoil, but there.
Wait, can we spoil though?
Oh, can we? I mean,
mean,
It's been out for a
week.
while. Spoilers for the
Literally, the BBC started
yeah.
spoiling it 2 minutes after it aired.
yeah.
no kidding.
And in
No-
fact, the
no
rumor had
bullshit.
been around for a
Yeah.
while, and I was like, no way.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, yeah, spoil it. Go ahead. What
Russell T Davies actually sent a video on his social media like right before it was about to air, saying, "If you don't want to be spoiled, but official
Yeah.
shit is going to be shown
yeah.
immediately after." So
And
yeah.
Noel was nice enough to be like, hey, just try to not
Mhm.
see anything.
Mhm.
So the
So-
Doctor regenerated to shoot Igawa, except he didn't really regenerate; he bi-generated.
Yes.
They. So I thought,
Yeah.
just from the context of the show,
hmm
that he split in 2.
Mhm.
Cool, easy. I get it.
It happens.
But apparently,
hmm
Well, hold on. I had a question for you, which I think you're about to answer, right?
what's that?
My question for Noel the next day was like, all right, so we've got the Doctor, who's the 14th Doctor?
Yes.
Yep.
We've got the 14th Doctor, and the whole rigmarole is that he has been going nonstop ad nauseum
hmm
and needs a rest, and so this is the universe's way of telling him to rest.
Yes.
So he bi-generates
Mhm.
into another guy who has all of his experiences,
Yes.
all of his
Memories, knowledge,
memories,
the whole nine.
all that stuff.
Mhm.
He did everything that the 14th Doctor has also done, and he's like, you just take a rest. It's
Yeah.
time for you to rest. You've
Yeah.
been going nonstop. And I'm like, but
You have two.
you've also
Yeah.
gone nonstop.
There's a line.
So I asked
There's
Noel
a line.
about that.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
on.
So I misunderstood, but apparently he was pulled. He is the official 15th, and eventually Tennant will pass away and regenerate as him. But he was pulled from the earlier in the timeline to this,
Yeah. So there was
or
one
later
line,
in the timeline.
later in the
to this.
timeline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
He says, you're worn out. You need a rest. The only reason that I'm okay is because you're doing this rehab. But in typical Time Lord, time traveler fashion, you're going to do it out of order.
Oh.
Yeah, we're
Right.
doing
Yeah.
rehab or rehab out of order. I
Yeah.
think he's in.
Yeah.
So he's
I
the
didn't know what that
therapized, rested version of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Because this guy's gonna take a break for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know how that actually fucking works. Only because, so Shooty when he shows up, 15 when he shows up, doesn't know what's going on right away. But wouldn't he remember when he was pulled from before? So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
no, he doesn't remember. He doesn't know, or he just that's the part that confuses me. Like when that eventually happens.
Well,
What's gonna happen?
I hadn't thought of it before now, but what just occurred to me is they're often confused at a regeneration.
true.
And it takes a little while to
We also
get back
Re-download?
into it.
We also
Yeah,
don't
and,
know
like,
how many hundreds of years he has been as
Sure.
15.
I don't remember the
to
exact
remember exactly when I
circumstances.
started or
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
jumped in this boat.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that could be it. Yeah, so he's also said that it went all back through time,
That
possibly,
don't
but he said it in
understand.
such a way that he's like, my theory is it did this. So he's not saying it happened even,
Yeah.
but and split off other universes. So I think would it be different? Like, it's not like there's all these doctors existing in the same universe or whatever. That's just this particular one, and that may never be touched on in the actual show.
Yeah, he did it in a the Heat. Russell T Davies, the writer creator, did a whole thing about how this might be the birth of the Doctor verse. I think he called it,
something
where
like that.
now all of them did kind of continue on or carry on. So
And they do a lot of Big Finish audio stories that if they want to do, they can. But so I had a thought, and I don't know. I think this would be awesome. There was JD in the previous immediately previous stories. It was revealed that the Doctor is way, way older than they thought, and something called the Timeless Child came from somewhere,
which I've yet to see.
Was that part of the Jodie
Jodie Whittaker era? Yeah. And so the Doctor's way, way older and is, in fact, responsible for the Time Lord's ability to regenerate at all.
Oh.
And, came from somewhere that they don't know, is maybe some other species or whatever.
Well, they sort of touch on that in these specials, right?
Yeah.
Where Donna
Mm-hmm.
has been inside his mind and is like, you don't know where you're from.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that it might be retcon, or hoped that it might be retcon. And he was like, I'm not going to do that. And they really worked it in. I thought one thing David Tennant did really well was that he felt like he was the other Doctors, too. He did a great job at that. So they worked that in. So my hope was that, what if Shooty Got One knows this because he remembers it, but the David Tennant, the 14 or a later one in that line, somehow becomes the Timeless Child, right? Goes back in time, is kind of like a paradoxically bootstrapped.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
It would be interesting.
I think setting up. So I have not watched the episode of The Timeless Child. I don't know the ins and outs of it yet, but I think that makes perfect sense, even going back, because the Doctor himself, with his chosen name, and the fact that he is the first Time Lord to ever run away and steal it.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been different, and he's always been like the special child. So the reveal that Time Lords themselves kind of found him and or repurposed his natural abilities makes perfect fucking sense.
He just
to me.
kind of came into being.
Because Gallifreyans, Time Lords, they're kind of assholes.
There's like
it's a race of bureaucratic shitheads for the most part.
I don't know much about
and
him.
he's a punk kid.
He went out,
nice.
And it would also, to get into it a little bit, it would explain how the Ruth Doctor had a TARDIS that was blue like that before she otherwise would have some time travel stuff.
Okay. Oh, I love time travel stuff.
It's happening.
So another thing I noticed while I was watching this, because it was spoiled for me. Oh, I guess it was spoiled for me because I don't know who Ncuti Gatwa was, or that he was going to be another Doctor.
Okay.
So that was a little spoiled for me, that he was eventually going to become that character. And I noticed in at least 2 of the episodes, 14 says something and then takes a beat and goes, "Oh, is that who I am now?" And so they seem to be bits of dialogue that the Ncuti Gatwa version of the Doctor would say. Is there always sort of that little bit of preemptive?
Yes and no.
So I'm sorry, I completely misread where you were heading.
Oh, it seems like he says they talk about
how hot Isaac Newton is.
Isaac Newton is hot, and he goes, "Oh, he was very hot." Oh, is that what I say now? And so it's like,
that's not. That has nothing to do with Ncuti. It's more just every time that they regenerate, they're a little slightly different.
Right.
So
and
it's
they're like, "Oh, I'm like this."
Yeah, like he even says, like, I loved her. I say that now. Like usually, like another version of him was much more stoic. Just it's more table setting than it is. Is that a clue? Like,
But now, if you're wondering if they
no
usually hint at future Doctors, no, because they don't often even know who the next one is going to be, and there is usually I mean, they would know at the very end.
Yeah, of course.
But they haven't established their character yet or anything. So as Noel said, it's like it's about the Doctor figuring out who he is.
Interesting little nugget.
I mean, and they are leaning into the asexual / queerness of Doctor Who in general, which is great because it is not only a character that is so incredibly malleable in every single way, shape, and size. It's also a character that kind of transcends the normal aspects of sexuality in general. Like not only are they incredibly fluid, they also are not normally at all concerned with romantic courtship and or love.
Yeah, it's like not the power over them that that it would have over a human.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more of like a I love all and I am all and I can be all kind of a thing.
Although I
Yeah.
really do appreciate the relationship between 14 and Donna.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
no,
Like
yes.
their friendship.
in,
Yes.
They
in
just
modern
look at each other with just love.
so up
Yeah.
until Donna, especially modern Who, it was always kind of a sexual tension, will they, won't they, kind of Casanova-esque relationship with the companions. Either they were madly in love with, and or he was not
like
wanting to be in love with.
yeah.
With
giving
Rose,
into
it was
that.
like a giving into it.
Yeah.
With Martha, she was obsessed with him.
He was unaware.
and he was unaware.
Yeah.
When Donna came along, they just clicked like foils and best friends,
Mhm.
and just kind
Mhm.
of that was the so like in the modern era, that was the first season that was, oh, these are just two blokes
Right.
having
Mhm.
adventures,
Bloking it
Mhm.
up.
as opposed to some sort of like sitcom style misunderstanding of feelings bullshit. It was
yeah.
just like a straight
Yeah, they're
story,
just
and then
friends.
yeah, and
From
it was
episode
and,
one.
and that's
Yeah, yeah.
that was the fun of it. Except when it came to River Song. Yes, River Song
yes.
is his
His wife.
what is it? One OTL, One True Love.
Oh.
His wife.
Which one's River Song?
You've never met her.
Yeah, you haven't seen
Well,
her.
But
But she's,
maybe an actress I knew.
Oh yeah, Alex Kingston. You're
She's been
welcome.
in some
Thank
stuff.
So anyway, all of that is to say that I'm in. I'm gonna
Nice.
keep.
Excited for the
I'm very
Christmas
excited for the
special?
Christmas special. I'm like
yeah, the way he plays the
actively-
doctor is great,
The
right?
trailer for that is
Yeah.
so charming.
I haven't
just-
seen the trailer. I was like, you know what? I didn't see the trailer for the last one. I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna just watch it. But
He
plays
should
it
read
great.
Silence in the Library.
Mm,
Yeah, or watch it.
Watch
Sorry,
it.
he
Oh,
should watch
I
Silence
was
in
like,
the
is it a
it's
book?
very good.
Okay.
Two episodes, just two
Mhm.
episodes of Tenet and Donna.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
It is, and it sets up
Mm-hmm.
so much other shit, and you could jump around after that.
Great,
But
awesome.
this is Alex Kingston, my dude. You know her.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know her.
So the
Oh, she's lovely.
representation that they had of someone who uses a wheelchair but can walk,
Mhm.
and sometime
Yeah.
and to a degree, and when the one character is given into
Mhm.
the forces of the episode
Uh-huh.
and berates her for it, because she's influenced, and they made a commentary on that.
Yes.
Because that actress had moved her leg in the first
I
episode.
remember. Oh, I had a conversation
And-
about it with someone.
Yeah, a lot of people were like,
freak.
"Wait, what's that all
What?
about?"
That's
It's
how.
like, well, there are many people that are
Yeah.
like this, right? And there's a lot of people who might not know that.
Yeah.
Honestly, might not know that, and so that's great to have that conversation.
That episode happened. I had someone was railing about it
Mhm.
online, and they were like, "I guess you guys don't want realism in your shows." And I'm
Hmm.
like, "But that's the actress though.
Right.
So-
Like she can walk. Just because she's in a chair doesn't mean she's not able to get
Mhm.
out."
Fully amiable.
Yes.
When
I
that
love that they
happened
did that.
in the first episode, where she crosses her legs, honestly, I tracked the leg crossed,
Huh.
but I honestly thought that she moved her leg, as in like she took her arm
With
and
her
moved her
hand.
leg, because
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot of people that
Mhm.
will mimic other like
Or, like,
gestures and
yeah,
stuff in order to like during conversation. I literally thought she just moved her leg. Didn't think anything of it. It was
Yeah.
fine. It is a character moment. That's great.
Hmm.
Then it became a whole goddamn thing about like
Unbelievable.
the accessibility of a character and amiability. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god. You were watching this movie so intent on, or watching the show so intent on hating
Finding
aspects
a
of
thing.
it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rail on this
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
wheelchair,
Which
It was
is
so
kind
fucking
of
weird.
funny to me because I know I'm a new guy. I
Mhm.
just got here, but so much of that show, there's a bit from Invader Zim, and Zim is controlling a giant robot, setting things on fire, and he's got a bunch of minions down there, and they're pressing knobs and they're turning levers, and he just yells, "Turn those knobs, pull those levers."
Mhm.
This show feels like that to me, where
There's
it's just
that
like,
happens.
listen,
Yeah.
just action, turn some knobs and some levers. It doesn't
yeah,
matter,
yeah.
So, and the fact that so many people seem to be upset at it now
Mhm.
and also talking about earlier where they regenerate as different genders and sexes, genders, and races,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then just to be upset about it, like
Hmm.
it's I don't know, it seems antithemic. Is that the word I'm looking for?
And anathema.
Familiar with that word,
Anathema.
but
Yeah.
no, yeah. Which was actually part of this episode. I
Oh.
loved that, where he, the toy master, his trick that he's doing is to make
Mm.
everyone feel as though they are right, unassailably right,
Yeah.
and when he has a short but interesting tirade about
I loved it.
canceling people and
Mm-hmm.
yelling at each other,
mind
and-
games,
yeah.
dating, ghosting,
Yes.
canceling.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fun.
Yeah. So I thought that was a great, well worked in thing for him to do. Plot.
Bit of commentary.
Yeah.
I also like that the character, the doctor, offers himself up. And
Yes,
it's like,
he'll do that.
listen,
Yeah, like
all the time.
we can go to the stars and play games for
Mhm.
eternity.
Mhm.
Just
Just
leave
don't bother
this
anyone.
leave these people alone.
He has practiced that speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does
It's his
that.
go-to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the doctor. So there's a brief stint during Moffat's run with 10
Hmm?
Matt Smith,
Oh, yeah.
who 11
Hmm.
Matt Smith, who a lot of cultures consider him a danger, a warrior, a weapon,
The oncoming storm.
because he is usually at the center of horrific things happening.
Yeah.
But himself, he's not a pacifist, but he is very much a let's find a solution that's not war,
Mhm.
right? But there
Yeah.
was like, oh, you should watch the 50th anniversary special
Oh, it's
with
so
the War
good.
Doctor.
Yes.
Um,
Brilliant.
But
Yeah.
how would that really like feel without seeing the 2 or 3 episodes that precedes it? Right?
I think it would be good to like
just all
get
the
into
Clara
it
stuff.
if you get into it, and then
The
you'll
im-
enjoy that
the
episode.
Impossible
Yeah.
Girl shit is
Yeah,
just great.
And,
Are there any episodes? I hear
Mhm.
you guys talking about all these episodes.
Mhm.
Are there? Because I went back to the David Eccleston, Christopher
Christopher
Eccleston stuff.
Mhm.
Is there any episodes in that season where you're like, oh, you gotta watch that episode?
in that
Dolly
particular
was
no one
season
seems to
11.
do that.
Dalek Doctor Dances.
the Doctor Dances is awesome. Introduces
Or
Captain Jack.
The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances.
Yes.
It's a 2-parter.
Very good. Yeah, in fact, that would be the one if I was
Okay.
to recommend one.
But
A lot of people like Dalek, but I think you've already seen that.
the last episode too is a banger.
Also very good.
Oh.
Yeah.
How long are the seasons?
13.
Uh,
Well, his season.
It depends,
His season was
yeah.
13.
Yeah.
Actually, it was basically 13 episodes all the way up to Capaldi, and then it was 10 episodes.
hmm
I saw. I flipped through it. I didn't have a chance to watch it, but there was a video of Christopher Eccleston talking about how he wanted to keep being the Doctor.
Oh, he had a fucking awful time
There was
filming
yeah,
it.
yeah,
There
and
lots
he
of
was like
problems.
objected to certain practices on like ways that people were treated as workers. I believe I don't know the full story.
So he was like,
And he
standing
did not
up
like
for
it.
other
he
people?
also later said he didn't feel comfortable with the comedic aspects of it. He didn't think he was good at it,
oh,
and
that's kinda
he's
cute.
very good at it.
That's
and,
adorable.
Yeah, so that was part. He said that much later recently,
Yeah.
and he has returned or is willing to return for the audio stories. I
audio
think.
stories,
Yeah.
but he won't come back to the television show unless Russell T Davies is
Right,
fired.
and like 3 other
Whoa.
people. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
Is
had
he a problem?
I don't know.
No,
Just
I
straight
have
grudge.
not heard it from
Other than
anybody
okay,
else,
gotcha.
but
Yeah.
I don't know.
He
Okay.
just doesn't want to
The,
work with him.
Ah.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm excited for some Doctor Who. I'm going to get
I'm
on
really
it.
glad that you got into it.
Yeah,
yeah,
me
yeah.
too. Me too.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
I love to find a new thing
Mhm.
that I'm excited about. You know,
And this is a good
Just-
time. It's a
yeah.
whole other thing.
No,
Yeah, I'm gonna very quickly talk about a comic book that I've talked about before, which is Radiant Black.
Mhm,
It is
mhm,
a original superhero comic. I'm holding up 2 issues
Hmm.
in this camera over here. I'm holding up 2 issues.
Hmm.
These are both issue number 27, but it's actually 27 and 27.5,
No.
and they are parts 4 and 5 of an ongoing arc that's happening right now. So this book is very, very fun, kind of modern not retelling, just pastiche homage of superhero heroics. It's a cross between Spider-Man, Invincible, and like Power Rangers. But in issue 24, or during issue 24, the 2 main characters are kind of sharing this super suit, this power. And in issue 25, they have to decide which of them distinctively is going to use it because both of them can't, and an oncoming war is happening. So they had a bunch of voting online.
In the real world.
In the real world. And I don't know what the results of that voting was, but right after that, they announced that, oh, by the way, we're going to make a choice, but before we do, we're actually going to tell you both sides of the story. So this book has split into 2 separate books telling the same story, but with different main characters, because in one timeline, Nathaniel got the suit, and the other timeline, Marshall got the suit. And both books, read in unison, are wildly different, but also the same events occur. And it's a really, really cool exercise.
That's fascinating.
reminds me of that movie Sliding Doors.
Kind of, except
Yeah.
it's happening in real time.
Mhm.
So you could, I guess, just read one side of the story, but it is so cool watching because in this issue, number 27, parts 4 and 5, main characters get straight up murked, but then they don't in the other one.
Oh.
And you keep oscillating back and forth between, oh, well, the way that Marshall did this was good for the betterment, but the way that Nate did this was actually much better. And like to put an even cooler pin on it is that both have a narrative structure of someone telling the story of what's going on, but Nate is an actual writer and Marshall is just a fucking online troll.
Yeah.
Nate is documenting what's happening. Marshall is arguing with people online on Twitter about things that are happening.
Great.
And, like they are, and in text threads and stuff,
I
you're getting
love
the same
it.
type. So like the book transforms from issue to issue based off of who's telling the story, but it's telling the same story. So like the bad guys, the Catalyst, are here. The Radiants, these things that gave random people power, are essentially sent out to universe. The way I understand it, they're sent out to universes to prep and or allow the universe, the planet that they find to prove their worth. So then these people come, like the Catalyst come, and they're like, all right, we're gonna test you. So it's an invasion to literally test if you're allowed to have this power, and if not, we're just gonna absorb you. It's fine.
Like whoever
like,
wields the suit is
they
is
have
the
to be able to
of
basically
mankind.
yeah.
Human.
So
But
there's
there's a bunch of them.
there's 5 of them.
There's not just the radiant
5
black.
suits.
There's
Oh,
radiant
Dude,
pink.
radiant others,
Pink,
other
yellow, pink, yellow, red, black, and I'm
Blue?
missing one. No, there's no blue. There's no
Chartreuse.
green.
Oh, that's the black. Yeah, radiant black. It's in the title.
It's in the title.
Brian,
The title is
come on.
Radiant Black.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's his name.
It's an excellent comic book. The trades 1 through 4 are available. I think the Catalyst War is going to be trade 5. This is a great book.
I've
This
read
is
the
just a
first 2 trade paperbacks,
great
and
goddamn
I
book.
back you up 100%.
It's so different.
Yeah. Yep.
If I was a retailer, I would be making sure that people know this is happening and how different, in a good way, it is.
Yeah, man.
So
Highly recommend.
yeah.
Radiant Black's dope.
Nice.
get on it.
You had one more, didn't you?
No, it's fine.
Okay, cool. All right, so we went and saw The Boy and the Heron, which
We
is
did.
written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki. After losing his mother during the war, young Mahito moves to his family's estate in the countryside. There, a series of mysterious events lead him to a secluded and ancient tower, home to a mischievous gray heron. Mischievous?
What are you feeling?
Mischievous.
like
Mischievous
mischief.
gray heron.
All right.
When Mahito's new stepmother disappears, he follows the gray heron into the tower and enters a fantastic world shared by the living and the dead. As he embarks on an epic journey with the heron as his guide, Mahito must uncover the secrets of this world and the truth about himself. Sam, there's no above note. You might want to retype your above note. It never came through. So I am I wouldn't say a Hayao Miyazaki stan.
You wouldn't say that.
I have a handful of his movies that I absolutely adore and will watch anytime.
So just a Miyazaki Dan.
I'm a Dan.
Damn.
Yeah.
Is that a thing, or did you?
He just
No.
made that up.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
it is
It's
now.
now. Yeah. I Dan Miyazaki.
Yeah.
The
Dan.
Spirited Away,
Mm-hmm.
Princess Mononoke, My
Mhm.
Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service. Listen, the classics. I think most people love those movies if they like the Miyazaki aesthetic.
And that they have seen them.
She has lived in the
Jillian.
Gillian Anderson has
Oh.
lived in the UK since 2002 and is considered bilingual. She was born in Chicago, though.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
She's been in the UK for over 20 years, but she's from
How
Chicago.
about that? Is that right?
Go Bears.
All right.
So
The UK Bears.
I don't know how much of this movie can actually be spoiled. Does this seem like a spoiler type conversation to you guys?
I mean, I think if we want to talk about it, we should talk about the whole movie.
Yeah.
Which
It
we
is
can give
just-
our impressions and then
give your impressions,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk
and
about the
then we'll
whole.
tell you if
Yeah.
we're gonna do
in the
spoiler
normal
alert.
fashion.
Yeah. I was looking forward to this movie. I had not seen a trailer for it, I don't think.
Me either. Yeah.
And I was just like, the name was enough to get me into the theater.
The Boy
And
and the
so I
Heron.
Miyazaki's
A
name.
boy, a heron.
Yeah.
Yes, I gotta see.
What?
Boys are in stories. Heron are birds. Let's go.
Whoa! Never have the two met before in such a way. So
Who's the main character?
yeah.
The boy or the heron?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know.
That's a
Maybe
question
it's-
you'll be asking
Maybe it's
when you leave the
A&D.
theater.
Yeah.
So I was excited to go see this, and I went and saw it, and I fell asleep during parts of it, and that is part of my review. I think that the movie itself is a little bit of a slog. I'm diving right into it.
What
And-
part? Like, how far in did you fall asleep? Like,
Okay,
what'd you say?
so it breaks up into two, right? Two bits. There's the beginning of the story, which is all about Mahito and his life in post-World War II Japan, and things that are happening with his family and his mother and his new mother, all
He
that sort of
moves.
stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff I was riveted by.
Is
I
that
was
right?
Right. I might be different than you guys.
Like, what's
but
this? A
I was
talking
just-
bird?
Yeah,
Snooze.
get outta here.
Snore. I'm out of here.
It wasn't until he gets to the other land for a little bit that I finally was like,
that was when.
yeah, look at all this fantastic.
Are you sure that all of that didn't put you to sleep for the
No,
when the
I
story
was-
actually
I was-
starts?
Maybe you were overcome.
I was very into it.
Maybe you don't know how you felt.
And I feel like there were a lot of what's the word? It was
Grandmothers.
very much like Godzilla -1 for me.
I didn't see that part.
In that, well, it's post World War II
I
Japan.
Got you. Oh, I got you.
And
Yeah.
loss,
Post or during?
loss, grief.
It was towards the. This is technically during.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he mentions
No.
at the end that the war ended.
They came
Sometime
home.
later.
They went
Yeah.
back to Tokyo 2
You're
years
right,
after the
you're
war.
right. You're right.
So it's maybe towards the back half.
Yeah. But I found both of those stories to be very fascinating versions of those films. Like it was a Godzilla movie, but what I was really interested in was all the other stuff. So that's kind of how I felt here. The
Okay.
real life stuff is what really grabbed me. And the animation was, I think, fantastic. There were scenes of... Always is, yeah. There were scenes in this one that I had never seen in a Miyazaki film before. There were elements of the animation that I was like, oh, that is very different than anything I've seen from him before. Turns out he had someone else animate those scenes.
Interesting.
So
What are we talking
The
about?
running in the fire.
the running and the fire in the
Yeah.
very beginning,
the very
and
scratchy
him and
looking.
Mahito sort of like dipping his way through the crowd to get to the hospital that's on fire.
Yeah.
That is not your standard Hayao Miyazaki
That's true.
stylistic endeavor.
That's an interesting choice itself
Yeah.
to have someone else animate before he leaves. To start the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that being said, I all that aside, I woke up the next morning and wanted to watch it again. I sought out a video because I knew there was stuff in there I was not getting. There were elements that I wasn't putting together, and I wanted to go back and watch it maybe in not subtitles but dubbed, because my version
Oh, you
was
saw it
subtitled.
subtitles?
Yeah.
I saw subtitles also.
I saw it dubbed,
Mhm.
and the voice cast was excellent. Mark
Crazy.
Hamill
Yeah.
is the Heron.
Yep.
And the Heron talks. Spoilers.
Wait, Mark Hamill
No,
was
I
the
thought-
Heron?
I thought Pattinson was the Heron.
Who was Mark Hamill?
I
Mark
don't
Hamill
know.
was somebody.
I'll tell you in a sec. I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm kind of at, is that my first viewing, I don't think gave me what I needed from the experience. I wanted to go back and rewatch it after watching a video about it so that I could appreciate some of the decisions that they made. That even with that, I don't think it's ever going to be in my top 5 of Miyazaki films.
No.
This is a
probably not.
very personal story of him and his life as a cartoonist, as an animator.
Wait,
and
what?
Yeah.
This is about his life?
Mhm.
Oh, I did not
It's
know that.
very autobiographical. A lot of the stuff
Oh.
when he's a little boy comes from his life. His father
Oh.
was making those shields for the World War II planes. And his mother was in hospital with tuberculosis. So yeah, a lot of the elements are from his actual life.
Oh.
Yeah, and that book that Mahito gets is a book which is actually the real name of the movie, the original name of this movie, which is How Can You Live? And it's the same title of a Japanese book that he was given as a child, and that's the book that Mahito was flipping through.
Oh.
So yeah, it feels very autobiographical, and it deals a lot with, I think, him looking back at his works and the way he deals with the real world versus how he deals with his fantasy world of his films and everything. But I think just as a passive experience in a theater or at home, it's not as fantastical or as charming or as endearing, I think, as a lot of his work can be. What did you think?
I'm gonna go back to the cast.
Yeah.
Sochi Maki, the father, Christian Bale.
Mm-hmm.
The Parakeet King is Dave Bautista.
Hmm.
Gemma Chan is Natsuko.
Hmm.
Willem Dafoe is the noble pelican, the one that dies.
Yes.
Mark Hamill plays granduncle, so he's got
His
one
granduncle.
one part at the end.
Right.
Robert
recognize the voice.
Pattinson is the Gray Heron.
Ah,
Florence
yes.
Pugh is Kiriko, the
The grandmother.
young
The young
version of the
grandmother.
granny.
Yeah.
Uh,
The grandmothers were great.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. There was like
and-
6 of them.
one,
Or 5.
2 of the parakeets. Tony Revolori, who is Flash Thompson in the Marvel
Thank
Spider-Man
you.
movie,
Thank you.
and Dan Stevens is a parakeet as well.
Oh, Dan Stevens. Nice. Real quick aside, Noel,
Yeah.
you saw the subtitled version.
Yeah.
When I was watching the subtitled version, I heard the Heron's voice, the Japanese
Yeah.
guy, and I went, "Oh, well, clearly that is I'm something of a scientist myself.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
Oh.
I thought he would be the voice of that character because
No.
I think
it sounds like a Japanese Willem Dafoe.
the American dubbing also includes dubbing it with the American cast in Japanese
Shut up.
that they show for the subtitled versions.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely
It's all
unnecessary.
phonetic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Go ahead. What's your takeaway of this?
I
film?
liked it. I found myself with the inverse experience to a degree of yours, to a degree.
You went in asleep.
I came out of the movie and I never
was-
saw it.
Yeah.
I was rolled in.
Yeah.
Complete slumber. Woke up crying. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. But it was great. I love that experience.
Yeah,
I found myself in the beginning, I was like, this is very well done. There's not so much happening. You know, I'm not super engaged. When he gets to the house with the grandmothers and the animation with for them they're so fluid and it's really, really well done. That got me interested more. And then I thought it really was an interesting transition from this very normal life story, real life, our world story, and the fantastic magical elements coming in very softly. And I thought that was really well done. And then when they get to the other world, I was like, here we now we're in business.
Yeah.
What's happening here? And we were in business. I liked
Did you
it.
like what was happening there?
I liked what was happening
Great.
there. I found, well, I guess I won't get too into it because we're still pre-spoilers.
Yeah.
But overall, I was like, all right, I liked it.
What did you think of the animation? Did you like that?
I liked the animation,
Yeah.
especially
Did you like it?
Did
I
you
like it.
Did you like it?
the animation.
Tell me more.
Tell me
liked
about
it.
the animation.
Listen, the reason I'm asking is I really want to talk.
Huh.
They
Anyway,
hold
but
on.
you're not.
I don't have anything
No,
to
you
say.
have to
I'm
talk.
interjecting to interject.
Yeah.
Loud
noises.
I haven't said anything in 3 minutes.
Go on about that, please.
No.
Did you like it then?
The stuff that
like it?
really grabbed me about the animation was the attention to detail for little things, like the rickshaw that
Mhm.
comes to pick up Mojito and his father.
Mhm.
The way that moves, and there's just a slow scene of them, him and his new mother getting into the rickshaw,
His
and the
aunt.
way that his aunt,
Yeah, but who
But
is
new mother.
but new mother, she
who
says,
is
"I'm your
like,
new mother."
I am your new
I-
mother.
and-
Yeah.
His his father impregnated her too.
Within
Yeah,
a
which-
year
Yeah.
of his. Anyway, I was like, "Oh, my man."
Is there
but-
something I didn't know, or is there something I don't know necessarily about a marriages and or arranged marriages?
That's
Yes.
very possible.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
Thank
what?
That's because that was the first like
yeah. Like you now.
Maybe,
So
like,
he
various
was-
cultures have.
Yeah.
something like
Mojito's
that.
mother, Mojito's father was married to Mojito's mom,
yeah.
and she passed. And in order to keep everything in the family, it is what's the word I'm looking for? It is
Customary?
customary for him to marry her sister. So this woman,
And then put a baby in her immediately.
I mean,
Well, but it's.
I don't know
you
if that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
it's,
Yeah, seal the deal. So yeah, it's sort of customary for the sister to pick up where the other sister leaves off.
All right.
Yeah, and that's sort of revealed just a little bit as it goes. You don't really.
It's not
know.
revealed at all.
Hmm.
Or that they're related
in
Yeah,
the story.
yeah.
That they're related. Oh,
ish.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah. Who the?
no. I mean, she just says
They're sisters.
My sister.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
an hour and a half into the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just
Yeah, you
it's
didn't know
the-
what was happening.
My favorite
No.
thing about the
It's a
animation
very gentle
is
transition
how
into what's happening in this movie.
the little things are handled.
I like the when they handled the little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn
It's a very pretty movie. It's a very, very pretty movie.
it.
And it was boring as shit.
Oh shit,
Take it
No,
away.
no.
Take
It wasn't
away.
boring as shit.
shit's more interesting. Snow.
I'd rather
Yeah.
look in my toilet.
Yeah.
It it was boring as shit. I mean, shit is boring.
Oh, I thought you recanted that.
Well, it wasn't boring as shit.
Okay.
But the phrase itself is that
It does
I
not
do
exceed
find
the
shit
boringness
boring.
of shit. I got
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
It was a very pretty movie, and it was good. I'll never watch it again.
Yeah, I don't think I will watch it. I don't want to rewatch that.
There's this is a me thing, not a content thing. There's some people that are driven and inspired by maybe ambient music
Mhm.
or still photographs
Hmm.
or quiet meditations.
Mm.
I'm not.
Mm.
I'm more inspired by the confluence of things or juxtapositions or narrative investment. Those are kind of my meat and potatoes. And over an hour of this movie was just vibes,
Mm.
and I got bored.
All right.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was so much fucking vibes. I just looked at my watch a lot, waiting for like the movie to start.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, like little things too, but they were so well done. But why?
Mm.
So, Mojito is outside of his bedroom at night and sees his father coming in. So he's peeking and sees his new mother and him kiss, and he's like, "Ugh, I'm gonna go back to my bedroom."
Yeah.
Any other movie would just kind of cut back to him going to his bedroom. No, it's a 3-minute sequence of him
What happens?
crab walking backwards.
Backwards up the steps.
Up
I
the
love
steps.
that.
It's cute. It's
I
a wonderful
loved it.
visual, but
I loved it.
holy shit, this whole movie was just like meditative vibes and seeing every process, and I didn't find it charming.
That to me was, and to the theater I was in, that was like a comedic bit.
But that
we
was
were all
that
kinda
was just
chuckling. We're like,
one
oh,
example of they're literally
Yeah.
they animate absolutely every beat
Mm.
to the point of it just being a low hum, and it was hard for me to like be excited about it.
I can
It was just
I
a
can
low
certainly
hum the
understand
whole
that.
goddamn
Yeah.
time.
yeah.
And when the movie
Mhm.
actually does start,
Mhm.
it's such a whiplash almost of tones. No, not of tones. It's the same tone the whole time. It's just a whiplash of just stuff of like
It's completely different
real life
rules
real life.
in a world.
And then I guess
Yeah.
I'm in an underworld afterlife where little
knows?
babies are about to be born but eaten by birds.
that too.
But
Yeah.
we're all I'm sorry, we're getting to spoilers now.
yeah, there's
spoiler
little babies.
alert.
There's but little baby souls, but they're
Yes.
eaten by
That was
birds
beautiful.
that are
I
stuck there.
thought
That
that
was
was a
pretty cool.
beautiful
The
scene.
Warawama,
Yeah.
the Wamawara.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And then, but there's also populated by past and or future versions of people that are possibly and or maybe not in the real world, and they're all entering and exiting the tower in their own time and space because the tower exists in all places.
Mm.
So it's kind of Stephen Kingy in that way. But
Also a little bit of Dante's Inferno.
yeah, that was all like really really cool. But by the time that all kind of transpired, I was already a little sleepy.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I don't know. It was a little. It's a very very good movie. It is very pretty.
Hmm.
It is very well done. Some of the like my favorite bit of animation in this entire thing was in the beginning them running up and down the steps, because there was a. It starts with just like a fire at a faraway hospital, and they wake up in the middle of the night and realize that's mom's hospital. Let's go run up to the stairs, see what's happening, and run back down the stairs. The stairs themselves seemed like a digital set, but it was all like painted really well. And you watched force like perspective at the top of the staircase and the bottom of the staircase, these characters frantically running up and down. No other animated movie would probably give that much attention to something so seemingly simple, and it was beautifully well done. I did not know that literally every character interaction was going to be that
Painstaking.
intense.
Yeah.
Or detailed, painstakingly intense to the point where it slowed down the narrative drive for the entire movie for me, and that's not something that I enjoy.
Understandable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even if it kills, like even if it would crush the ending and everything just like makes me feel amazing, it still felt to me like, why am I here right now?
I get that. Whereas those little things like nobody runs up and down stairs like Miyazaki characters.
Yeah,
There is a weight
there's
and a
like,
danger.
so fast using their hands kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So like that is a character choice that spoke to the entirety of the scene and it.
Mhm.
But him walking through the weeds and then exactly how he takes off his shoes and then how he sets up his bed, but then also like that just kind of like it didn't reveal that there was a story reason as to why we saw all this intricacy. It just vibes. We wanted to see the intricacy.
Mhm.
And I to sound flippant, I don't care.
I think, if I may, that sort of stuff of he takes off his socks, he takes off his shoes, he puts the socks inside the shoes, he puts them over here on this rock, he dips his foot into the thing. To me, it spoke of the structure of the world that he was in and the sort of all of the rules that he must abide by in the real world, so that when he gets to this fantastical land, all of those rules are out the door and it's more chaos than what he's used to. So to me, that was like very specifically, not only was it specifically there for that sort of storytelling about the character and his place in the world, I also just loved watching it because a lot of it is very still, but there's so much nuance in the masterful way that I think that the animation team moves all of those things, that I'm just sitting there going, oh, look how they animated that. Oh, look at that.
And
so
again,
like
vibes. It's just cool to be cool, and that's great. But I have personally, I have more weight on the story function of what you're showing me and why you're showing me it, and that makes sense. But doing it 5 or 6 times for 8 or 9 other things over and over again,
It's like enough already.
It's like, all right.
and if it is to show the dichotomy between his normal life and the underworld, he didn't seem all that discombobulated in the underworld. So it's that also.
We're free.
Yeah,
just
like,
kind of his regular guy.
he was just like,
regular self.
hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
Look at that
There were these
bird.
birds coming at
Here's this happening.
Yeah.
Cool. Like he is still nonplussed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was yeah. This didn't ring a bell for me.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting, the idea that all of the fantastic characters, not all, a lot of the fantastic characters were animals from this world,
That was
right?
cool.
Yeah.
A lot of birds.
And all of the ones, a lot of birds. And
From different parts of our world,
yes.
right? So they're from different climates.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I hadn't thought about that. And at least all of the ones that are antagonistic in any way, all of the characters that are antagonistic in any way, I think are birds or something like frogs or something
Smaller,
from our world.
dumb, domesticated. The only real malicious animals were the parakeets, like malicious.
Mm.
The pelicans,
We're not.
they're not malicious. They just eat
Yeah.
to eat. And the heron is more of a trickster, kind of a chaotic, neutral.
Yeah, no,
character.
Aaron's all right.
But the parakeets themselves are the only ones that are like,
And
I'm
I
gonna
mean, that's
kill you and
basically
eat
like
you.
a fascist state.
But in the real world, they are domesticated,
lovely.
useless.
wonderful.
They have no like pecking order. They're just
Ah.
they're just
They're at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I thought was interesting about that was the pelican specifically, the wise old pelican, I think is called.
his name is Willem Dafoe.
Yes. Right. And I forget who voiced him.
It was William Dafoe, voiced by Noble Pelican.
Interesting. Oh yeah. He's getting a lot of good work recently.
He
The
transforms. For
he
literally
every
every
role. He looks like a human most times. But what was the theory that I thought of?
I don't know.
Here we go. The pelican
sidetrack
is
you?
upset. Oh, but I always get on track.
It's true.
But
He retracts.
yeah, I retract.
Sidetracked. What would the opposite of sidetrack be? On track or tracked?
Sidetracked. Front
Track.
track.
Front tracked?
Front track.
Main tracked.
Regular tracked.
I'm main track.
Oh, yeah, main track.
Yeah.
I'm on the main track and I'm sidetracked. And
Yeah.
so remain track. I'm sorry.
Main track. The theme that I thought was really interesting was these real world animals, especially the pelican, elaborates upon it and tells him that we don't want to be doing this. We tried to get away. We can't. We were pulled into this world. And I think that's very interesting that they don't want to be doing that. They don't want to be hurting anyone. They try to escape. And it's the whatever his name is, Mark Hamill's the great uncle, grand uncle has set up this world and is trying to do good in it, but everything he pulls in, because I think the other things are just there anyway, doesn't go well.
I had trouble with the end of the movie, not in any kind of emotional way. Just I think I understood what was going on, but I didn't understand what was going on at all. Granddad from granduncle, from a gajillion years ago, got lost in there and never came back out. Another daughter of his got lost in there and came back out a year later or sometime later didn't seem to age at all and very happy. Who was that?
That was his mom.
His mom. Okay, his mom was.
We saw those events. I think.
That's right. That when she goes back out. Okay, that makes sense now too. What the fuck is the Rock?
The Rock.
That
from some other world?
That giant rock that he's trying to placate
from another world
that explodes.
It is a meteor.
Yeah.
That's what creates the
otherworldly.
It's a portal to other places, and so he built a house around or a tower around it.
And the like making the tower or stacking the bricks to keep the balance is just metaphoric. It actually has no.
Like I think he actually has to do that.
It says every 3 days to do it,
and that keeps it.
So it keeps the Rock happy?
No, I think it keeps that world existing. So here's the thing. A lot of this was not in the movie, but is supported by the movie. That he wandered into this realm and imposing his will on it created this world, right? This is outside of life. It is after and before, or maybe only before. It's also after, I think. It's unclear.
The only characters we meet are before. Before and present, we don't see any future characters.
I wondered if
Kamiko is young.
She says there's a lot of death here. A lot of people are dead here.
So after,
and like those,
you mean
the people in the boat?
They
maybe.
Can't kill.
I'm not really sure.
Well, from my understanding, that was the hell of that reality.
But also the place where souls are before they are born.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah. So it's just another world. And is it the only place that is outside of life? I don't know. But so anyway, he comes into this world and imposing his will on it creates this version of this world, and perhaps it is his influence that is causing it to be bad at all. Like otherwise it would just work normally, the souls would come up, everything would happen, people would be doing their thing. It's him trying to
So he tries to put order
better.
to chaos.
Right.
But
and the boy refuses it in a move that I was like, what malice, right? Like, but maybe he's worried that anybody would bring something of themselves into it and disturb the way that it is.
Why bloodline?
Yeah, like why is it his deal? Maybe he just thinks that, right? It's part of the world that he created,
and
is that it should be somebody.
It's all destroyed at the end. So does that place still exist, or just?
I think it does. I think it goes back to its natural form, or there are other realms where people are born from, but. And again, this wasn't in the movie, but it's, I think, not a big leap.
And I don't need it
movie.
to be spelled out for me. I just need to be able to track the chain of events and why they're important in the context of the movie. And the movie just kind of vibes it a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there are many different things being approached in this film. Looking in, so I think there's a lot of references and a lot of autobiographical elements that if you're not privy to them,
if you are not Hayao Miyazaki,
right? Yeah,
you're like, I never told anybody this.
Like it doesn't. A lot of it doesn't hold. Like those blocks, right? Like that all 13 of those blocks come tumbling down.
That they were headstones, gravestones.
Yeah,
and it had some. But then he also goes and throughout time and space and finds 13 that do not have malice in them.
Yeah,
which is it like? What are you getting at?
Right, I don't know. I actually came home, and the next day I went to YouTube and I watched a video that
To cleanse the palate.
about this movie.
Oh wow.
We can link it in the show notes.
Great. It's called The Boy and the Heron, Every Detail Explained. And I had a feeling that the end, the granduncle, was supposed to be Hayao Miyazaki.
He wasn't the boy?
He's also the boy.
He's also the boy.
He's also the boy.
Okay.
So from this video, the 13 blocks are actually the number of movies that he has put out.
Fascinating.
Which he's also
fascinating?
he was a mangaka, so it also might be panels of his art. And so it's him trying to find a successor for him. So like he's constantly trying to retire, not being able to let go of the reins, and he comes back and does another movie. And
so the previous work is headstones, and he is like, your work will be untainted by what I've been influenced by.
Yeah, maybe.
Interesting.
And so if you notice, he taps it with a pencil, so it's a drawing implement that he's using.
I didn't even notice it was a pencil. That was like a tapping stick.
Just taps it with a pencil.
I would assume you'd have a stick for that.
The tapping stick. Yeah. It's a lot to do with, I think, him looking back on his works.
So there's a read of this movie that's Old Man Let It Go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And he does let it go.
So anyway,
those scenes, this transition scenes through those archways was very cool. I love that kind of thing, and is also a little different from. I wondered if that's something you were thinking of with Miyazaki's other work. I mean, certainly a lot closer than the beginning of the movie, but it looked a little watercolor type. I mean, you can make the case that his work has that in general, but very much
but
so.
Not usually like lines like watercolor.
Right,
it's
right.
mosely like just like the color scheme is usually pretty
exactly
light
pastel and whatnot.
But that opening sequence, the thin lines disappear and it just becomes a lot wavier.
Yeah.
Very cool effects.
I'm not usually into, and this is no exception, but it is a little bit. What I see is like a sour grapes thing. There's oftentimes in stories, people are met with the opportunity to attain great power or something, and they say, no, I don't want that. No, I shouldn't have it. It wouldn't be right. And I see this a lot of times as people working out their desire to have great power, right? And being like the sour grapes thing, where it's like, well, I can't have it. I can't control the universe in this magical way. It would be better if I didn't. But really, in a lot of ways, it'd be better if you did.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it could turn out poorly, right? Even the amount of power we have now could turn out poorly. But I mean, it would be cool to be able to do magic. Sure. I would like to be able to do magic, right?
I would like it. Yeah.
I think.
I'd enjoy.
You never know. But I read a lot of stories that have the moral is you shouldn't have great power as like, I don't, and I want to, and I feel bad about it. Let's convince myself that it's better that I don't.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. Not always.
I don't know if I agree with that, but yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. I have often seen that. Like, don't be so down on yourself.
I agree with it when it's done poorly. Like the idea that absolute power corrupts absolutely is, I do think that's proven. But if the motivation of the person refusing the power is not either spelled out and or exhibited as to why they may not be right for it, then yeah, it's just poorly done.
And we don't have a problem when characters already, right? It's natural for them to, like, Superman has a lot of power. He's a great guy. You know what I mean? It's just the idea that you would jump above where you ought to be.
Well, I mean, it's
you know what I mean?
I mean, you're it takes a naturally egotistical person to assume that they could appropriately wield power or extreme power or a large amounts of power. I'm not talking about like a manager. I mean like
a
god level
manager.
power. Yeah. Because some of those people shouldn't have it either. But
No,
just
that's
like
true.
there's a anecdote about like running for president.
Oh yeah.
You have to be an incredibly egotistical person in order to think that not only can you run for president, or you should run for president. And I almost feel like power itself is kind of like that. So those stories usually are commenting on the fact that like no one person should potentially have that much ability, but power itself is agnostic of intent. It's just power.
Right. It sounds just like not
Yeah.
necessarily power over other people.
It's just
It
power.
could just be like I can create, whole planets.
Power
Whatever.
is as useful as that is like this pencil. Like
It is a
has
power, in a way.
absolutely
We've created
no
it.
action of its own. We imbue it with action. So power itself is just like that too. And usually it's an indictment or an exploration of the person refusing it or being offered to. If it feels like it's an inorganic choice, it's probably a problem with the story, not showing you whether this person should or shouldn't have it, not necessarily the choice and the choice that was made. Do you know, does
Right,
that make
because sometimes
sense?
people do accept the power, especially if it's in the beginning of the story, and they're like, "Now I do this."
So
yeah.
Are you saying that this kid, the Mojito, not taking the power didn't vibe well with you?
No,
Or the
actually,
malice?
in this instance, once I thought of the thing that I thought of was that because they certainly didn't show him having malice. It's not like
I think the malice was I
Towards-
got beat up by these kids. I'm going to bash myself in the head with a rock so that it looks like they did worse to me than they actually did, and then my father is going to demand
but he
justice
didn't
on them.
he didn't say anything about that. He said I fell.
Mm-hmm.
You think he knew that
I
the
think
father
he was
wouldn't
being
believe him?
manipulative.
Did he get beat up
Well,
by
I think
kids?
I thought he was being
Yeah, he did.
manipulative. I thought
There's
he
a
was
whole sequence where he's
he
on
got
his way home.
thrown-
It's
I
funny
forgot about
because
that part.
he gets home, he gets introduced at school,
Yeah.
and they show him walk to his seat, and the kids around him are all like
It is-
glowering at him.
It is the only time in the entire movie that they utilize montage in order to speed through points of the story.
yeah.
So it's him
And it's
walking
just
home.
him
Massive.
to music.
But they got the shoe putting on.
yeah,
But
all
they
that's
didn't.
done.
It's a
Yeah.
wide shot
Yeah.
of him walking and then
Yeah.
coming across some kids who are working, and
They
it's
push
the-
him
a
and
fight,
shove him.
A fight starts.
So
I
I
must have
thought
tuned out for a second.
I didn't think that he broke his head to get them in more trouble. I actually thought he did it to not go back.
Yeah, to get out of the
Mhm.
school. That was my impression.
I
as
think
well.
that both of those things can be
Oh.
true.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So that's where I got the malice from.
Yeah, I guess so. But then, once I thought like, oh, he maybe thinks that if he did this, it would turn out like his granduncle wanted it to be a good place. I don't know
Yeah.
that he knew that it would be there without him, if that is the case, or whatever. But that he is giving it form, and he wants it to be good, and he's to his grandnephew. He's like, maybe you can do better than I can, and I think once I thought, well, maybe his grandnephew realizes that no, he can't, and it'll just be all
Not
right
only
without
that,
me.
it besides, like, if I was offered that power, it also looks like a very solitary
Yeah,
and lonely.
I would try to do it right if I thought that it
responsibility.
helped out.
Yeah.
But it would be,
Yeah.
But he could talk to the parakeet king. I think.
Yeah.
It was all business though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't really a
So-
relationship of equals.
To wrap it up,
Yeah.
I don't think that this works for me as an entertaining movie. It works for me in the way that I would like to learn more about Miyazaki and the references. Like, this is obviously a passion project, and a lot of stuff was put into this, and it's interesting enough for me to kind of seek that out and appreciate it in that way. But it is not a movie that I would recommend to anyone unless you're a big Miyazaki fan and you're interested in those sorts of questions. It's not a movie that I would put on for fun.
What if you like
ever.
birds a lot?
Nope.
You wouldn't recommend it.
Nope.
What if you like talking?
I liked all the bird shit.
Bird shit was cool.
Yeah, no one cared.
Yeah, they were just
Everyone
like,
got shit on them
yeah,
constantly.
everyone's like, yeah, look all these
Did
birds. What do I
somebody even
expect?
say?
It was like on
Were
her,
they
she had
happy
shit
about
on her
it?
face.
Yeah.
She had shit on her face and she
Yeah.
was smiling.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Very happy.
I saw a different video like that. It was awful.
She was smiling.
I think cultures. Yeah, she didn't think it was awful. I wasn't into it. But to each their own. I think various cultures see being shit on by a bird as
Good luck. Yeah.
Some people even carry a bird around with them, squeeze it a little. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It always turns back.
Make a little dollop.
There's a couple of
Yes.
scenes where everyone's got a real lot of luck.
Does anybody recommend this
Yes.
movie?
Yeah, sure.
I'd recommend it. Do you want to see this movie? You should watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
sure.
Huh.
It's not a bad
I'm not
movie.
going to tell you not to watch
yeah.
it. Yeah.
There's nothing bad about this movie. I just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it faded to blue, which I thought was cool at
Oh,
the
did
end.
it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
You didn't. I wasn't 100% sure it was done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
pretty interesting because like they did a coda and it was just
Yeah.
we moved back, fade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
That was
Yeah.
it.
okay, cool.
Well, let us know what you thought of The Boy and the Heron or what's it called? How Do You Live is the original title. Email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com or tweet at us at cultpopgo. Is that it? Are we good?
Man.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we will talk at you later.
Do.